Good morning. It is Tuesday. How are you guys doing on this September morning? So good to see you guys. So good to see you. Welcome in. Come on in. Let's have a chat this morning. What are you guys up to? What are you up to now? It's the day after Labor Day. So I know everybody's like, it's a little sketch as to whether or not we're like getting going, whether or not we're like happy that it's Tuesday after Labor Day. I don't know. Do you feel like the fall vibes have already settled in? I feel like after Labor Day. So let's see. Let's check off the list. You're not supposed to wear white pants anymore. I don't really follow all that, but what were the rules? You're not supposed to wear white pants. Hi, Cheryl. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Brenda. Good to see you. Very good to see you, Matt. You're still laying in bed and you don't want to do dialysis. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all, Matt. But there's like all these rules, right? Like I said, I don't really follow them, but I don't know. Are there other rules other than you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day or something like that? I mean, and if that's true, then it's kind of like in you're so cold, Cheryl. Okay, Cheryl, what's cold to you? Because seriously, like I'm in Minnesota. Where do you live, Cheryl? Because what's cold? We had the most amazingly gorgeous weekend ever. And yesterday, I actually, because when I go to the Minnesota State Fair, I'm going with my grandbabies a couple of the times. Michigan. Okay, well then, Cheryl, you're right on track with me. Then you probably do have fall weather kind of settling in a little tiny bit and, whatever. So I'm not really sure why my husband's showing me his cowboy hat, but he is.
Felt hat after Labor Day.
Oh, felt hat after Labor Day. So when we lived out in the Black Hills of South Dakota, we had a lot of rancher friends. I forgot about that one. So during the summer, you wear your straw hat. After Labor Day, you put back on your felt hats like your Stetson, right? Well, I suppose Stetson can sell both, but you know what I'm saying. And you wear your felt hat after Labor Day. That's a rule. Oh, it's in the 50s, Cheryl. I'm so sorry. It is not in the 50s. Well, maybe overnight it's starting to get a little 50s. So I hear you. I hear you. Yes, you did, Brenda. Oh, shoot. What did I ask Brenda? I'm trying to get back into the thing too. The state fair. So I went with my grandbabies again. And so we went again yesterday, you guys. I went for my 4th time this year. But it's the reason why is because good morning, Magda. Good to see you. Good to see you. I did because how far am I from St. Olaf? Probably about an hour, Matt, from St. Olaf. Probably about an hour. But went again yesterday a couple of times because my husband is on the radio. And so he did radio stuff from the fair. And so I got to just kind of go and hang out with him for a couple of days. And we just walked around the fair. We've been married 37 years. We held hands, walked around the fair. And then we went as a big, huge family on Sunday. And then I went again yesterday with my daughter. So anyway, I just say all that just to say, like, when the state fair in Minnesota is over with, because the last day is always on Labor Day, you definitely feel like, okay, where's the pumpkin latte? If fall is settling in, you definitely want to think about like harvest time or something. I don't know what it is, but anyway. All right. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about food noise. And this came from a text I got this morning from a customer of mine. And so let me back up. I had a reel that I was going to bring to you all of this guy's information. It got deleted. It was on TikTok. Anybody want to guess what the topic was? You won't guess. I'll just tell you. He literally, it was such a good reel. Dang it. He literally said, do you really want to be buying your supplements from Big Pharma? I probably should be careful about the Minnesota's 60s and on Thursday. Brenda, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I have to be careful about saying that word on TikTok. And if you're on the balcony TikTok, come on in. And if you would just tap and like the video, it'll get the information out. We're going to talk about food noise today, insulin resistance. And he literally went through every single brand on the aisle of, like, let's say a Walgreens or a Mart. And he said, guess who owns this one? Guess who owns this one? Guess who owns this one? And they were all tied back to big PHARMA. Stunning. It was quite the reel. And I woke up this morning and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take notes on his reel. He had such good information. Gone. Deleted. Do you guys understand? Are you catching on yet? Maybe you already have. Maybe that's why you are on my content. Maybe that's why you resonate with some of the things that I say. Seriously, you guys, the power, the control, the lobbying, the lack of responsibility, the lack of accountability, the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want is staggering. Staggering. So here we think we're doing something alternative, and they're like, yeah, you are. Wink, wink. You go do that. Wink, wink. We made those too, by the way. I mean, it's shocking. And the guy goes, why do they always put nature in the name? Because there was a lot. There's like nature's made, nature way, nature, all these things. And he goes, they're all made by these companies. And remember yesterday, we talked about how, what were my notes yesterday on the largest merger has been between Bayer and Monsanto. One makes, and the two are really equally connected or very closely connected to working with non-Hodgkin's. One makes the chemical that is connected to it, to the creation of it. One makes the meds that help with it, and they merged. I don't know what year they merged, but this is a big conversation. We have to have these conversations. We have to be able to think for ourselves. We have to be able to think about these things, okay? So that's just staggering. So to think that we're being alternative and we're being free thinkers by going to a Mart and getting our supplements, and they're making those too. OMG. Okay, so that's what my live was going to be on today, but now it's not because they took down his video. So I don't have all of his information. And of course, I'm not going to just make stuff up. So I'm going to talk about food noise instead, because then shortly thereafter, I went on and I was texting with a new customer of mine. And she was saying that she just received the trio. Those are the 3 supplements that help with insulin sensitivity. And she just received them in the mail. And so we were talking about how she was going to be using them, blah, blah, blah. And she said, I just want the food noise to go away. Okay. If anybody's on Instagram, will you take just a second and tell me if my sound is on Instagram? Actually, honey, will you check my Instagram? Thank you. He's going to check it for me because Robin says that there's no sound on Instagram. Is that on Instagram? Okay, we're good to go. It's on, Robin. It's on. Sorry. I know you have to go out. You have to come back in if you cannot hear. Sometimes that happens. Food noise yelling at me all weekend, Cheryl says. Okay, well then this topic was probably for a reason. So let's talk about food noise. So if you do not know who I am and you've never seen any of my content, and come in from the balcony, if you're on TikTok, come in from the balcony. And if you guys would be so kind as to like tap the screen and put it out into the algorithm a little bit, that would be so helpful. My dad died of type 2 diabetes when he was 63, and I had just had my 30th birthday about 6 months before that. And he had a very declining health life because of his type 2. So I was raised with all of the hospital stays, all of the hospital procedures, all of the scares, the heart scares. And then he ended up being on dialysis for a couple of years. And he just had really low functioning of life as he continued on his pharma route. I got to be careful about my words. He continued on his med route. And he just kept taking more and more scripts, and he declined and declined and declined. And then basically that was it, right? Like his body couldn't do anymore. And he was diagnosed at 35. So when I was 30, thank you so much for the likes, you guys. I appreciate it. Miss Never Too Late. I appreciate you doing that for me because I know that it's like a job, right? That, to have people tap on the screen. Maybe I should ask my husband, will you go get on my TikTok and tap on my screen? I'll have him do it too. It just really helps because TikTok is very, it's its own little universe is all I'm going to say. It's its own little universe. Good morning, Linda. Good to see you. And so I basically then at 30 did nothing for a good solid 15 years. Even though I had type 2 and obesity all over my family, my Italian family, even though I had all of these pieces, right? Okay. So having said that, what happens is that I end up trading out my foods. I end up working on trading out my ingredients. First, I start with supplements. And like I tell you guys all the time, I even did a reel about it yesterday. This is easy. I should only show you 3 because that looks overwhelming. That's just because I have multiples of everything in here. This is easy. This is the trio. This is where I have people start. This is the trio, the 3 supplements with the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. This is easy. Getting into a supplement routine, even for somebody like me, who was not ever a supplementer. I wasn't even disciplined enough to do supplements. That's easy. Trading out the food was the second hardest. I thought it was going to be the first hardest because of the noise. That's what we're going to talk about. And the third one was actually my mindset about everything. So I should say trading out the ingredients was the easiest. Next to, I should say, the hardest is the food noise, because the food noise that's connected to our emotions. It's connected to our habits. It's connected to our triggers. It's connected to our defaults. Does anybody resonate with that? I think that you probably do. Like it's a common conversation that I have with people. And next week, we're going to start the September challenge. It'll be our 16th challenge in the Facebook group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. So you can go over to Facebook and you can look at that, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Okay. And we'll do a 5-day challenge. And at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time every day, Monday through Friday, I go live and we do touch on all of these lives that I do here on my regular channels at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. These are bits and pieces of the things that we talk about in the group. So if you feel like you need a better track to run on, a more conversation, more whatever, then that's where you want to go to. Okay. So just to let you know. All right. So let's talk about food noise for just a second, because I think that a lot of people are I think you're just really hard on yourself. I think that you are, because ask me how I know these things, right? You're really hard on yourself and you are putting yourself down and berating yourself over the fact that you even have food noise. And maybe you even feel like it's a shameful thing. But that's not how this goes. There are just realities of how we think and talk to ourselves in our minds. Now, we talk to ourselves more than anybody else will ever talk to us in our entire life. So you have to work on what's going on in the conversation in your head. And food noise is very similar to that. It's a piece of that. Okay. So I'm just going to go through some information and then you guys can decide whether or not any of this is resonating with you. And then of course, I'm going to follow up with what you can do about it. What are some practical things that you can do to simmer down the food noise? And again, this all came from a conversation this morning with one of my customers who she purchased the trio and she said, I just want the food noise to go down. And I said, let me tell you exactly how, well, we weren't on the phone. See, look at that. See that habit right there? Funny. I said, I texted her back and I said, this is exactly how the trio is going to help you with your food noise. This is exactly what's going to happen, because that's one of my favorite testimonies that I get from people. I love that people tell me that their morning sugars come down. I really do, because that hits at the heart of what happened with my dad. Had he been able to do something like this, had he known, he could have changed his trajectory, in my opinion. Okay. So I love that. I love the fact that people lose weight. I love that, makes me happy. But I think one of the happiest things for me is when somebody texts me and they tell me, oh my gosh, the food noise. It's like quiet. And I want you to hear what I'm saying to you. The reason why the food noise is quiet is because there is actually a biological thing happening in your body. So, what if you thought about food noise as biological and that it can be dealt with, and stop shaming yourself? What if we did that? How much further would you be between now and the end of 2024? How much better positioned would you be if right now you started a routine that helped you with your food noise between now and New Year's Eve? I'm just telling you, learn how to do this without shame. Okay? Matt's asking a question about the turmeric that I have. So the turmeric that I have is extremely absorbable, Matt, and he has kidney issues, and most turmerics actually are not absorbable, and so this one is literally like 45 times more absorbable. It makes such a huge difference. I have really been experimenting with it recently, even going to the fair and stuff. I can't even tell you the recovery. I can't even tell you. It's like amazing with inflammation. But you're asking very specifically if it helps people with kidney disease to have better functioning and waste removal. I have not studied that, Matt. So you would have to, I would actually go and ask that question to Chat GPT. I would reverse what you're asking me. I would go into like Chat GPT. If you've never used that before, it's a wonderful tool. And I would say, is there any connection between taking turmeric and kidney disease and helping it to remove waste? And then I would let Chat GPT tell you that. And then I would buy the best turmeric on the planet. And I'm just going to be super biased right now. I believe, for real, from the bottom of my heart, I have the best turmeric on the planet. It's 45 times more absorbable than any other turmeric, which is a really big thing to say because people are taking turmeric capsules all over the place from the marts and the drugstores. And I'm telling you, what did we just say at the very beginning of this live? The guy's video got deleted when he was talking about all of the different brands on the shelves that are made by PHARMA companies. The supplements you're buying at the store are made by those companies because they're not stupid. They're going to make profit off of you one way or the other. Having said that, taking 400 milligrams of my turmeric is like taking 6,000 milligrams of somebody else's. So I'm just telling you, it's amazing. Plus it has fenugreek in it, and fenugreek helps with sugars. Okay. So if you have any other questions, Matt, though, you can always, you know where to text me at. So you feel free to text me too. Okay. Oh, my stars. It's not a question. It's what you found. That's amazing, Matt. That is amazing. So he's telling us that this is true. So according to Matt's study, and he's on dialysis for his kidneys. So this is why he studies this. Okay. He's saying that he has studied the fact that turmeric helps people with kidney disease to have better functioning and waste removal. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Matt. And anybody else, if you're questioning, look it up on ChatGPT. Okay, so what is food noise? What is it? And why do we even have that in our vernacular? Why is that even a part of our language? But yet we all seem to kind of understand each other when we talk about it. So here are 5 things that food noise is. What does it look like? Number 1, obsessive thoughts. Constantly thinking about what you're going to eat next. Number 2, cravings, really intense cravings, somewhat uncontrollable, and very specifically for carbs and sugars. Number 3, emotional eating. You're not hungry. You're just eating because you're stressed, you're bored, maybe you're just sad. Number 4 is guilt and shame. There's a lot of guilt and shame around it. And so basically, there's this negative cycle that gets perpetuated where you're eating and then you have regret, or you're shaming yourself for how you're feeling about the choices that you made, whether they were good or bad. Kristen, good morning. She's on my TikTok, loving up my TikTok. Good morning, Kristen. Thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you know. And number 5 is decision fatigue. Constantly weighing your food options. This is, like for me, people ask me all the time about macros. I'm not against macros. For me, though, I chose to do, how would I say this? For me, I chose the concept. So I studied Maria Emmerich. I understood the concept. She's very high protein, moderate, good fats, low carbs. She doesn't talk about net carbs. She's not going to talk about any of that. She's going to talk about whole carbs all the time. And yes, even onions have carbs. So people are like, oh, you don't eat any carbs. Unless you are carnivore, 100% eating beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And I think even eggs can have carbs. I might be wrong. Everything has carbs. Meat does not have carbs. So unless you're eating only meat, you're eating carbs. Okay, so everybody's got all weird on that conversation. Everything has carbs, but almost. But the point being that for me to track some of us, it can become that it's that obsessiveness about tracking you're getting on the scale every single morning. That number is driving your emotional status for the day. That number is telling you whether or not you're a good person or a bad person. That number is telling you whether or not you are going to be successful in life or whether you're going to bomb as a failure as a human. I mean, we go right over the cliff. Choom! And then how do we recover from that? Maybe we don't, because maybe that turns into binging or whatever. Okay. Because then, I've already screwed up for the day. I might as well just eat all day long. Okay. Right. So instead of doing that, choosing to not have the shame and the guilt attached to your food. So macros, for me, I didn't do macros. However, I understand the concept. Did it maybe take me longer than the average bear? Probably. But I was going for non-scale victories, and I was going for dealing with this right here. This was me. It doesn't have to be you, but this was me, because I was not interested in, come on. If you ask anybody, hey, would you like to lose 100 pounds in a year? I did not have 100 pounds to lose. Let's say 50. Do you want to lose 50 pounds in a year or in 6 months? In 6 months, everybody would go, yeah, I'll lose 50 pounds in 6 months. That sounds great to me. And most everybody wants that. So we take the injections, we do the GLP-1s, we do, whatever we have to do to accomplish that, because that just sounds good. Fast sounds good. Faster sounds better. And I needed to find out who I was in this process. Okay, so I was short of my 51st birthday when I traded out my foods. I had just started supplementing with the Trio. Okay, so I'm taking the Trio to help with my insulin sensitivity, which I still take to this day, by the way. And I'm trading out my foods, and I'm like, I just kind of want, I'm in my 50s, and I don't even know the foods that I like. I just got fireworks on Instagram, people. Woo-hoo. I did something to do that. But you're in your 50s and you're like, who am I? What foods do I even like? And so I went on my own journey. So for me, that decision fatigue, constantly weighing your food options. For some people, it might be counting macros every 2 seconds. It might be you're just in it because you think that if you just bore down, you're just going to you're going to stare at all of your food decisions and your macros and the numbers on the scale. If I just push through, this is going to finally, like, that's how you're going to have success. And it's not. The more you shame yourself, the more you put yourself down, the more you are unkind to yourself, the longer it's going to take. Okay. So these are the things that happens then when you have these food noise pieces, the obsessive thoughts, the cravings, the emotional eating, the guilt and shame, and the decision fatigue. Then what happens is you end up with weight gain or a plateau. So many people, we all hit plateaus, right? And we don't like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. I get it. Number 2, we end up with mental exhaustion. Number 3, increased stress. Number 4, negative body image. Man, I get this, you guys. And number 5, health complications. So those types of things are so frustrating because we really do want to just be able to take something and say, just fix me. Just fix me. You do your job. Fix me. And that's kind of not how it goes. It does to a certain extent, right? Because what are the testimonies? Come on, you guys know these testimonies. I just had another one this morning. She's lost 13 pounds. Hello? Because when your insulin or your sugars are high, you can't lose weight. You're stuck. So when you work with your insulin and your sugars and help your liver to function and deal with your visceral belly fat and all of these things and your metabolism, yes, your body's going to go into positive forward movement. We love the testimonies, right? But this doesn't always fix the journey. But what I will tell you is that this one in particular, you take this one 3 times a day, this helps with the food noise. How does it do that? Well, it has a couple of herbs in it that helps. First of all, it's such a biology thing. So when you bring down your sugars and your insulin, your body's not physically telling you, get more carbs in you. You need more energy. You need sugar right now. You need more fuel into your into your wood stove. You need more wood on your wood stove. Kristen, thank you. I'm just going to stop and say thank you to Kristen again. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you. You need more. And just keep eating sugar and keep eating carbs because your body is physically, like, your cell closed off. And so your cell said no more to insulin and sugar getting into your cell. And because it did that, you're not getting any energy. You're exhausted. And then all that extra sugar is getting stored as fat because insulin is a fat storing hormone. So you're fat and you're tired and you're mad. And I get that. So if you take down your sugars and you take down your insulin and you can finally start to become more sensitive, you do get more energy into your cells. So that's the biological reason why part of your food noise starts to simmer down. But also too, there are a couple of herbs in there. One helps with sugar cravings and one does help with appetite control. And isn't that why maybe we consider injections? So what if we have natural conversations? And instead of trying to force your body to do something that you don't want it to force, that you don't want to force it to do, meaning knocking on the door of your pancreas all day long. Excuse me, could you make more insulin, please? A little bit more. And then your pancreas goes, okay, I'm tired. You can overwork your pancreas. This is completely different. This is, let's talk to the cells of the body. Hey, cell, will you open up and receive insulin and glucose again? Will you become more sensitive again? Completely different conversation. Injections are telling your pancreas, make more. And this is working on a cellular level. I hope that makes sense. So these are the 5 things that you can do to work with your food noise. Okay. Let's work with it. And I think, Julie, you said something a long time ago and I missed it. You must be insulin sensitive. You did great with your weight in Italy and a week of North Carolina barbecue for a training. You must be insulin sensitive. Yes. See, you become more metabolically sensitive. So when you're not type 2, there are spectrums, right? There's a spectrum. If you are type 2, you're insulin dependent, whatever, you're on a different, this is going to take you a little longer than somebody else who is not type 2 yet. Know your position. Understand where you are so that you do not get so frustrated that you quit. Understand where you are with all of the factors in your own body and stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Be encouraged, have hope, get your hopes up, but do not compare yourself. You don't know, like it's this compilation, right? So think about that for a second. She goes to Italy. She's lost 25 pounds. Thank you, Julie, for telling me that. She's lost 25 pounds. She goes to Italy. And then a week of North Carolina barbecue for a training, right? And she did really well. Did you say, Julie, you had texted me or something and you said, or you on a live, maybe you said you gained maybe 1.5 or 2 pounds that whole time? Something like that. It was very little. It was very little. So you can become more this is turnaroundable. That's what I want people to understand. Like, get your hopes up, get excited. Nobody gave you a terminal diagnosis here. You do not need a team of oncologists to deal with this. You can have a natural solution. You can have a natural conversation and then learn how to trade out your ingredients. And that's where we go in the group. Like the next one is the 16th challenge. It's next Monday. Starts next Monday. Ditch insulin resistance for women. And Cheryl, at some point you said sour cherry balls, and I have no idea why you said that. Sorry about that. 3 weeks in Italy. Oh, I'm so jealous. My friends right now are in Greece, in Italy, right now. And the original conversation was, because I've been to Italy twice, we were going to go with them, and there were other pressing needs. And so we didn't go, but I'm just like, still on my list to go again. Pasta, gelato, but very seldom. Yep. And that's where you have to try to choose not to completely binge, right? Kristen, thank you so much. You're answering somebody. She said it's the 3 supplements. Text me and I will show you. Yes. And there's a number on my profile on TikTok. You can text me that, or you can jump over to IG, because there's an IG icon, and you can get into my DMs and just say, send me a cart with all 3 in there, so I can just see them for myself, and I will do that for you. All right, so this is what you can do. 5 things that you can do. Linda, I will answer that in 2 seconds. That's a good question. 5 things that you can do. Address your emotional triggers. And, addressing your emotional triggers looks like this, in my opinion. You're in a social situation, and all of a sudden you feel an urge. You either feel like you're trapped, or you feel like an urge to eat something, and just pausing for a moment. Sometimes even just like excusing yourself to go to the restroom, and then ask yourself the question, okay, what the heck? Why did I feel that way? Oh, okay. When I was a little kid, they always had that food around, and I've been trying to say no to that food for a really long time, and that really bothers me. Whatever, something simple. It doesn't even have to be something major, right? But it can just be something, whatever. But taking the time to pause and literally ask yourself the question, why did that bother me? Why did that trigger me, etc. Number 2, routine and structure. I was not a routine and structured person at all. And sometimes and I talked about this in the reel that I did yesterday, doing supplementation like this, for me, I was not a supplementer. I was not a routine and structured person. Now I'm really pretty routine and structured, but it's because I love the results. So every night before I go to bed, I'm making sure that I'm taking my 2nd dose of my ashwagandha and my magnesium blend and things like that, because I appreciate not being constipated. I appreciate sleeping. I appreciate feeling that sense of well-being inside of me. I know what it feels to be cuckoo bananas in perimenopause and menopause. So now I appreciate the other side of that, and that ashwagandha and how it makes me feel, or whatever, right? Or doing something like the trio. I was so hit and miss on my supplements for a long time. But when you get into the routine, when you prioritize the routine, this is actually the easiest thing. Okay. That's actually the easiest thing. So routine and structure is number 2. Number 3, measure and don't weigh. So I have an order coming in, I think tomorrow or Thursday. I ordered a certain amount of fabric measuring tapes. And while they last, I'm going to start sending them out to everybody who has ordered from the beginning of September. So we're only on day 3. I'm going to start mailing them out to every single person's order that has gone through at the beginning of September. And because I want people to get the message, measure, don't weigh. Don't get me wrong. If weighing is not messing you up, I get it. You can do that. But measuring will tell you really yummy results because you're losing fat in different areas, especially when you incorporate a keto diet, like what I teach on. You're teaching your body to burn fat instead of sugar. And when you teach your body to burn fat instead of sugar, you might be losing in areas you didn't even consider. So when you measure instead of weigh, that can be extremely beneficial. And then you are not held hostage to the numbers on the scale. Because I'm telling you, if it's messing you up at all, put your scale away. If you're not willing to throw it away yet, which is what I've done, go ahead and at least put it away into a cabinet. And I mean for like a good year and then reassess. I don't mean for 60 days. And just take the journey, embrace the journey, say yes to the journey, and then start measuring yourself so that instead of beating yourself up every time you see a number on the scale because you're measuring water, impacted waste, you're measuring, muscle loss or muscle gain, that's BS. It's like this. Oh my gosh, just stop. Right? So you have to, at some point, maybe if that's messing you up, just get rid of that and start measuring. Number 4, lower your carb intake. You do have to, when you are insulin resistant, you do have to fix what got you into the pickle to begin with. You do not have, I have to be careful words sometimes. You do not have a script deficiency. You might have a mineral deficiency. You might have, I'm going to turn that around. So when we are looking at the reason why you got into the pickle to begin with isn't because of pretty much anything other than overconsumption of carbohydrates over a long period of time. Okay. Now there are other things that do connect to insulin resistance, like seed oils and obesogens, things that you put on your body, your skin. Script medications can be there are many things that can disrupt your endocrine system. Okay. But primarily it is the overconsumption of carbohydrates over a long period of time. It is the standard American diet, or obviously that's in other countries too. So it's the standard, whatever country you live in, because we're kind of similar. We're just very similar. And I'm finding this out. I hear from people all over the world, a lot of Australia. But anyway, and so it's not just America, but if you do not ever change out your foods, nothing is ever going to overcome that reality. Nothing is going to replace that for you. When I go to the state fair and I make the choices that I make now, I have all the benefits of it. But most of the benefits are the fact that I'm very low carb. Because once you've entered insulin resistant land, you've crossed over the border, now you have to address it a certain way. And so going low carb, man, I'm telling you, it is such a key, because what you're doing is you're giving your body less and less and less and less and less sugar spiking. And when you give it less and less and less, you are calling on less and less and less insulin. Okay. And when you're doing that, Remember, the opposite is if your sugars and your insulin are high, you can't lose weight. Make them less. Guess what you can do? And in that, the fifth one is supplement, and I'll talk about that in a second because I've already brought that up. But Linda asked a question, what exactly is the GLP injection? So that's like Ozempic or Wegovy. And those are meant to get your pancreas to produce more insulin to take care of your sugars. So your pancreas is like sleeping at the wheel, so to speak. It's just not giving you enough to counteract what's going on. So therefore, there is this moment in time where you can tap on your pancreas to give you more insulin and bring down your like force feed to take down your sugars. That's my best understanding of it. I am not a doctor. I just do study stuff. But that's what that is. And people are choosing that because you can have rapid weight loss. Et cetera. Or type 2s are doing it to try to stall or bring down, hold back the really bad negative effects of type 2, which would be similar to my dad. My dad was insulin dependent because you see at some point your pancreas does tap out. So that's why this is not, and not only that, but my concern about the injections happens to be the muscle loss. That concerns me greatly with women, greatly. So I would rather have you work on things from a natural cellular perspective instead of making your pancreas work harder. Carla, present. The anniversary of your twin brother's passing triggers me on Sunday. I did better than you thought. Okay, that's amazing, Carla. So see how that goes. So she has a very personal experience in her life. That was on Sunday. It triggered her. It was the passing of her twin brother's. It was the anniversary of her twin brother's passing. So there was an emotional connect. This is so common, you guys. Not that specific instance, but this is so common that there are memories. There are things that were told to us in the recesses in our brains of how we were told to think about food as we were growing up. I had a lot of, like, there were looks. There's that look of just the disappointment of your weight. So disappointed. There was a lot of that. You just bought a fabric measuring tape. Okay, well, Carla, if you've already ordered this month, I won't send you one. Oh, but that was so smart. See, great minds thinking alike. So Cheryl says she got up in the middle of the night, broke speed limit laws to get to the candy store to buy sour cherry balls before the store closed. You are adorable. You went back and forth in your head for hours as I was sitting in front of my work laptop. Thank you for being so vulnerable here. Sitting in front of the laptop at 9 p.m. At first, I thought the fight with the food noise. I lost the fight with the food noise. I felt bad this morning and dumped candy in the garbage. $11. OMG. Cheryl, big hug. Big hug. You know what? The most important part about that whole thing is that you don't shame yourself for it. Don't spend time shaming yourself. Because it's a journey. And again, I'm just going to say it again. If you would be willing to embrace the journey instead of looking for the quick fix, you will get so much further. If you've been looking for the quick fix for the last 10 years and you haven't found the quick fix yet, and you're still overweight, and you're still a size that you don't want to be, and you're still waking up thinking negatively about yourself and your weight, and you're still shaming yourself, and you're still all of those things, but you've been doing it for the last 10 years. Maybe it's been 15 years. Maybe it's been 20 years. How is that working for you? At some point, thank you so much. At some point, you have to decide that, this was, and I don't know where this came from for me, you guys. I really don't. Like, I'm just as confused about how my journey started as everybody else is. I was not a supplementer. God throws these in my path. I start taking them. I stop gaining weight. my metabolism gets better. My body starts to function better. My food noise goes, and when your food noise goes and it deflates, then you're able to at least have a thought. What if a window opened just long enough for you to like think about a different ingredient or think about a different recipe? Does it fix it immediately? No. That's why you have to embrace a journey. But why not embrace a 1-year journey? Okay, like let's offset the 10 years, the 15 years, the 20 years by a 1-year journey where you actually take time to assess yourself. You actually take time to ask yourself questions. You don't have to say them out loud to anybody. You don't have to tell anybody that you're on this journey inside of your head. You can tell them about your food journey. You've been doing this since last November. And Julie, what would you say is your best non-scale victory? Even though you've lost 25 pounds, what has been your best non-scale victory since last November in this journey? So now she's coming up on a year. So your brother had pancreatic cancer. Jesus, help everybody to not get pancreatic cancer. The doctors prescribed Trulicity, which affects the pancreas. I went off of it. It did not help me lose weight. The pancreas is compromised enough with diabetes, so I came off of it. Changing your direction, focus, and journey. Good for you, Carla. Good for you. And you know what? And I make no claims. I make zero claims, okay? And I'm not a doctor, so don't misread my words. You can do your own research. Do your own research, Carla, on the extract that's in the Slimetry that you're taking, okay? Because that's where there can be that help with the visceral belly fat, okay? And we want that because we've got this issue with fat around our organs, and we've got this issue with fatty liver. And I'm just saying, I had a really good friend 1 year ago this month. I should say, anyway, a really good acquaintance, a very good acquaintance, died from pancreatic cancer a year ago. And I just hate that so much. Hate it. So Julie says she's regaining her health and her cognitive health. Those are her non-scale victories. Yep. Energy. Mm-hmm. And that's what I talk about all the time, you guys. I'm like a broken record. I'm a broken record. Listen, if you wake up in the morning and you don't ache and you feel good and you have energy, you actually can take the day, today, September 3rd, and go make memories. And whatever those are for you, that's what they are for you. For me, I walked around the fair 12 hours on Sunday, and yesterday was another 5.5 hours with my grandkids. Hello. That's my non-scale victory. That I can so enjoy my family. Like it's for me, it's all about family. It's all about family. It's all about being with my 3 adult children. They're 35, 32, and 29, and my 3 grandbabies, 3, 2, and 5.5 months. What else matters? And my husband, my 37-year married husband that I'm so grateful. But if I feel like shiz, if I wake up and I have no energy, if I am just, my brain fog is out of control, I didn't sleep last night. I did, but I'm saying, like, if I didn't, oh, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you on TikTok. Now I got hearts on Instagram. If I wake up and I can't even think straight because my brain fog, I didn't sleep last night because I'm having insulin spikes in the middle of the night because that's what happens. And all of my hormones are now domino because of my insulin being out of regulation and all of these things. If that's my life every single day, I'm not making the memories I want to make. So I can only come on here every day and encourage people to, number one, recognize that this is not a terminal diagnosis and that you have control. Number two, understand that if you can actually feel better, you'll do more things that matter. Maybe with your family, however that looks. And number 3, you can literally become somebody more of who you are inside and stop repressing that person because you're so maybe unkind to her. Because you're convinced that you're in your 50s and so you can't change. I didn't start until I was shy of my 51st birthday. And now I'm 59. I'll be 60 in January. And when I say I'm a completely different person, I just mean I'm more of actually who I was meant to be. It's a becoming process. So allow yourself the gift of becoming. I hope that makes sense. I hope you hear that. So here we are in September of 2024. Why not give yourself a permission to go on a journey for a year like Julie did? She's now coming up on a year of her own journey. And I'm going to tell you, the track that I tell people to run on, that I give people to run on, is just a recreation of the track that I took. And then now I've helped many, 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 many people do the same track. Like we're doing the same thing. So the track is number 5 on here was, so the things that you can do for your food noise: address your emotional triggers, give yourself a routine and a structure, and just keep working it. Don't weigh yourself. If that's triggering you, measure yourself instead. Have a low carb intake. Stop counting net carbs. Don't sabotage yourself that way. And number 5, supplement. So do I take more than the trio? Yes, of course I do. Like now my whole world is very much targeted supplementations. I'm very specific on what I take for what, because I want certain results. But the trio is the way to start. In my opinion, there's 3 supplements that help with insulin sensitivity. When you can bring your insulin and your sugars down, you can finally lose weight. Many other benefits that have to do with helping your body, your liver, to detoxify at another level, helping your metabolism, your visceral belly fat, all of those things, your cravings, your appetite control, all of those things. Okay. So that's where we start. Then I want to teach you ingredient trade out. So this is step number 1. Step number 2 is trade out your ingredients. And as an Italian girl, that's where I shine, because I thought that was going to be the hardest thing that I ever did on the face of the planet. And I found out it actually wasn't hard at all. I mean, it took me a while, right? I had to deal with my triggers and stuff, right? But then we'll do a challenge every month in the group. That's step number 3. And the next challenge is on September 9th in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. It's free. All of this content is free. The only thing you have to do is invest you have to invest in supplementation, invest your time, invest your mental energy, invest your own commitment to yourself. But the group is free. The challenge is free. You don't even have to sign up. Like, I'm just telling you, it's the best compilation that I feel like I can possibly give somebody to get you to turn things around without any like financial barriers, without any, with the least amount of self-sabotage possible. Right? So if you're wanting to know about the trio, you can always either text me. If you're on TikTok, you go to my profile and then you find my number. It's on the screen. You can text me and say, will you give me a cart with all 3 of those in there? I want to see what those look like. Or you can see the Instagram icon. That's like, it's probably, if you're looking at it, I don't remember. It's on one side or the other when you're on my profile. And you can click on the portal and it literally goes zoom right over to my Instagram. And you can get into my inbox, message me right there. It just says message. And you can do the same thing. A lot of you do that, to be really honest. More of you jump over to IG than text me. But they're both available. And then IG, all you have to do is get into my message. Because if you leave a message here, I can't see it on my live when I'm done. It'll go away. Poof, it disappears, just like TikTok. but you can always get into my my messages. And then Facebook, you kind of have the best of both worlds because my messenger is my messenger. You jump right into there, or you can put something, a comment on, and I'll see it. And you guys are either on my YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. I just started doing content over there. Or you're on my personal page, Kirsten Liebelt, or you are on my business page, Kirsten Liebelt. And all of you have the exact same capabilities, meaning you can message me and I will see it. Hello, Mary. Good to see you. See you tomorrow, Carla. Have a really good day. Thank you, Carla. You're amazing too. Matt says, since cutting out processed sugars and only using honey to sweeten, you have no more joint pain and you drop 30 pounds the first 3 months. That's very good, Matt. That's very good. That's very good. I would think, though, that honey would spike you quite high. Maybe I'm wrong, though, right? Okay, so Carla says, oh, she had said that the gut health has really helped her get up and go in the mornings. Okay, so she's talking specifically about the gut primer. That just launched last month. And I have been so consistent at taking the gut primer. It basically is 6 things in one gut primer, and you just zhuzh it up in some water. It tastes kind of like tea, and I'm not a big tea drinker, so I just drink it really cold, but you could probably also add it to something if you wanted to. But basically, you're talking about prebiotic, postbiotics, fermented greens, alkaline spices, digestive enzymes, and then there's something else in there. Okay, 30 points. Good to know. Linda says, come join us for a great time. Yes, come join us. Did I buy the egg white powder off of Amazon yesterday? Yes, I did, Julie, and it already came. It came overnight. So FYI, the egg white powder, I don't think my husband opened it. Let me go see if I can find it for you. Hold on. What did he do with it? Here it is. Okay. Okay. Here is the egg white powder. All right. So one of the things that I teach inside of the group and on my social media sites happens to be making egg white bread. And the reason why I teach making egg white bread is because it is grain free, and I am completely grain free. And it is, it's actually fat free because of the way that it's made. And because of that, even though we don't live in a fat free society, and that's not what our goal is, it's still helpful when you are keto to not overindulge in fat all the time when you're trying to lose fat. So that's a Maria Emmerich teaching. So hold on, it's gonna make noise. There we go. All right. So this is a very large jug, and I am aware of how large this jug is. This is 5 pounds of egg white protein powder. Now, I have been making egg white protein powder now for a few years. This is such a great recipe. Here, I'll put that. Oh, I have to be careful. If TikTok thinks that I'm selling something and I'm not, like, never mind. TikTok is weird. When I hold things up, they flag me on stuff. It's weird. But for Instagram and Facebook, I can show this to you. There, that's the egg white protein powder. Oh, I can sort of show it on Instagram. You guys are almost at the same angle. Anyway, on Amazon, it's normally like $75 for this big jug, and this will last me a very long time. It was $53. So I think the last time I bought it this big was last year, Black Friday, and I bought it and it lasted me, I think, a good 6 months. Okay. So I can turn this into many different flavors of egg white bread, and that satisfies me. So I can make an egg white bread, and I can make it use a banana extract and then layer it with cinnamon. I can do things like that. Fry it in butter, make it into kind of a French toast. There are many things you can do with it. I just love the variety of what I can do with that. When your husband sees that, he will give me. So Mary bought it too. And she said her husband's going to go, yeah, I know. I know. It's kind of crazy. But I'm just telling you, like, when you find you just need one recipe to just shift things for you that you can hold on to until you find another recipe. You don't have to become this entirely different person in the kitchen. Keep things simple, simple, simple while you are learning a new language, while you are learning to not eat how they told you to eat. I mean, it's hard to be at the Minnesota State Fair and watch everybody so sick and non-functioning in their bodies and eating just massive amounts of really crappy food. It's just like my heart, because it's so I never put all of it together when my dad was alive, and we would go to the state fair all the time, every single year, and push him around in a wheelchair. And of course he was eating whatever he wanted. And I didn't know anything about diabetes. I didn't know anything. I assumed that diabetes was 100% genetic and that there was nothing you could do about it. It wasn't until he died with all of those meds that I went, wait a minute. And then I started to research, and now I'm like on the opposite side. Now I literally show up online every day, whether it's on a live or in a story or in the Facebook group. And I'm like, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. We have natural conversations. Like, come on, let's do something different. You can get back your life before it's too late. You can do this. You can do this. That's why I do this. So anyway, the Hawaiian rolls are so good. Mary, doggone it, I have not tried the Hawaiian rolls yet. I keep forgetting to buy pineapple extract. Oh, I need to do that. It's so funny though. So funny. Your husband's gonna, yeah, mine too. Your brother, Magda says that her brother also died of pancreatic cancer and she also stopped Trulicity. And Carla, I know is not on here anymore, but isn't that interesting? So we have two people on two different platforms. They both had a brother that died of pancreatic cancer. One was a twin, and they both were put on Trulicity. They both found out that it was bad for your pancreas, so they both quit it. So I started this live, and I'll kind of probably end it this way too. I started this live by telling you I was going to do this live today about this reel that this guy did that was very the information was amazing. And I woke up this morning and it had been deleted off of TikTok because he was exposing big PHARMA. And he was talking about all of the different brands of supplements on the shelves in the drugstores or in the marts. And he was showing how they are all owned by those companies. So they're getting money from you either by selling you the Trulicity or by the supplements that you're buying when you go to a drugstore or a mart. He goes, why do they all have nature in the name? But he was able to connect them back to those companies. And isn't that amazing and powerful and controlling and censoring of them that the reel is gone, deleted. We don't want the public to have that information. Bye-bye. Are you kidding me? Why are we not waking up? So I can say 100%, when you buy from me, from my company, this is a US company that literally has their own 6,000 acres of organic farms. They're making all of their own supplements. They are literally the only one that's making their own supplements. They go from seed to supplement within hours. You know exactly what you're getting because they're all third-party tested. And big PHARMA is nowhere to be found. And I'm unbelievably proud of that and so grateful because I'm so tired of the matrix with their little fingers into everything we do. And we sit around thinking that we actually have the choice. We're sitting around thinking that we actually have, that we're a free thinker, that we're able to actually make a difference in whatever. And here behind the scenes, they own both sides of the conversation, just like the merger between Bayer and Monsanto. Man, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying those words. That merger, one creates the toxin Roundup that creates the issue, non-Hodgkin's, and one makes the medicine. Now, does anybody else think that there's a conflict of interest for them to have merged? They're playing us. We have to become our own advocate. We have to take back our own bodies. We have to say no. We have to say we're done. So in your own timing, in your own ability, do your own research. Allow yourself a journey. Allow yourself time. It is a gift to yourself. Don't require that everything happen overnight. Don't require that if this doesn't happen by this amount of time, oh, well, I'm just going to say, well, that didn't work just like everything else. Don't do that. You're compromising your own memories. It's your memories that matter. Because if you can't make any because you're gone, like my dad at 63, my kids have no memories of my Italian dad. What memories do they have? No. My son was 6 months old. My daughter was 3. My other son was 6. Just saying. Hello, Jenny. Good to see you, sweet friend. Good to see you. I love you. I love you. I want to come see you. Maria Emmerich or Suzanne Summers or something else. If I were to pick one book, oh my goodness gracious. Okay, let me think about that. What's your goal, Jennifer? And I will answer that question. What is your goal? Because I'll tell you, when I was in my 30s, I was in my upper 30s, and I remember I was standing in my yard, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the clothes that I was wearing. I remember exactly where I was standing, and a thought dropped into my head. And the thought was, am I supposed to just embrace obesity and type 2 as an Italian female inside of a culture of a family that has a lot of type 2 and obesity? Do I just have to receive this? Like, is this just what I'm going to do? Is this just who I am? Really is the question. And I remember in that moment, I went, no, I will not. But then that was it. It was like a fleeting thought, a fleeting response, and then I moved on with life. And it wasn't much further after that I saw somehow, like in an email maybe, because this was a while ago, in an email, Suzanne Summers' book, which was, I don't remember which one it was. I'm too young for this, maybe. That might have been the book. And she was just launching it. And I bought the book, and then I put it on my shelf, and I never opened it up. But it was almost like a message to myself that I have an answer sitting there for myself when I'm ready. And it was actually a really important thing for me to have done. So Suzanne Summers was the beginning of my, I'm not going to have to live this way. But I had no idea how to translate that. Reduce inflammation and borderline type 2. You're going to go to a functional doctor. You're in Minneapolis. I'm in Minneapolis. Nice to meet you. Inflammation markers are off the chart. So Suzanne books are great, but they are about HRT and supplements. Yes. So if that's what you're looking for, I would go Maria Emmerich. And what I would probably do is I would get her ketogenic cleanse book, because it's going to be, Jenny, because it's going to be more great with information and understanding, great with recipes that are super yummy, but yet maybe what you don't know is behind the scenes they're very narrow in the ingredients, meaning if you were to buy, let's say, the comfort food book or the restaurant favorites cookbook, then what would happen is maybe there would be more almond flour in there. There would be more, like the sugar-free kids, more things that are, great for kids. But if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to get quicker results, I would go with the ketogenic cleanse book. That's just yeah. And, I'm going to tell you, so if you're trying to, if you have not done any supplementation, Jennifer, and you're going to go to a functional doctor, that's perfect for sure. Yeah, you're welcome. I highly recommend the trio, which, and you can do whatever you want, but reach out to me during this process, because I have a lot of people that see functional doctors and are on the trio and work with supplementation, because oftentimes what happens is the supplementation that you are offered, which is great, there can be financial barriers to it, or it can be like just way more expensive, right? And so when people want to get their sugars and their insulin down, when people want to actually I've got the turmeric that I was talking about earlier, like inflammation. If you want to talk about getting inflammation down, the turmeric. But for insulin, going from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive, you can make really great strides. The trio are 3 supplements that have 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. And adding on the turmeric is a great recommendation. But then I'm also going to say, I do teach ingredient trade outs. And I do have a Facebook group called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And we will do our 16th challenge starting next Monday. So I have a track to run on for people where you can actually take 1 month at a time, and then add up your months and give yourself the journey. So don't be disheartened. Don't be dismayed. Get your hopes up. Don't allow yourself to freak out and be stressed. This is absolutely, in my opinion, as a layperson and not a doctor, it is 100% reversible. So just take a deep breath, and we can do this. We really can do this. Well, keto is an anti-inflammatory diet. Kirsten recommended turmeric. It helps so much with the trio. It does help, Kristen. Thank you so much for saying that, Kristen. The turmeric, actually, I just want to do a side note, because again, for real, God's honest truth, supplement companies are never, ever, ever going to make claims that they cannot back up, because they are so closely watched, because there are certain entities that do not want them to have success. But yet, on the other hand, they know the success exists because they make them themselves, meaning supplements. Having said that, this particular on the bottle, number 1, it says 45 times more absorbable than an average turmeric. That's why it works, Kristen. 45 times more absorbable. You can't make that claim if you can't prove it. Number 2, they literally use the word pain on the bottle. That is highly, 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 highly unlikely for any supplement to say that. And it says it will help with discomfort and pain. They're saying from exercising. So they have to be very specific in their words. But I am telling you, like your best friend. Most people just don't even know that turmeric is not absorbable. But when you're trying to get down inflammation, whoo, baby, that's a good way to get down inflammation. But it has to get into your body first. So if turmeric is not very absorbable, don't you want to know that somebody figured out a way to do it and get it 45 times more absorbable? So 400 milligrams of this is like 6,000 milligrams of another brand. That's a huge difference. Good morning. Good to see you. We're hanging out longer than usual today. You guys have really good questions. Extracts do not spike you, Robin, if you're still on. They can. It depends on how sensitive you are. And you do have to know that if you're like a type 2 person. But sometimes it's the alcohol in the extract. So maybe one brand would and one brand wouldn't. I personally have never done any testing, but yes, they can. But for the most part, it would be thought to not really, it would be negligible. But that's a really good question. Really good question. You are so welcome. So again, keto better than anti-inflammatory. Keto is a very specific conversation. My conversation is very specific to insulin resistance. Does high insulin cause high inflammation? Yes. Are we looking to lower inflammation? Yes. But my first mode of conversation is what you put in your mouth. Is it spiking your sugars? Because you're not having high insulin unless you're spiking your sugars all the time to grab the sugar. It doesn't have to be a Snicker bar. It's just anything you eat turns into sugar. It either just turns into a little bit of sugar because you ate maybe spaghetti squash or eggs and bacon. Eggs and bacon are still going to raise you, right? Just a little bit because you ate. It's going to turn it into sugar. So it's going to turn into a little bit. But as opposed to you drank apple juice and it went straight into your veins like an IV, a lot of sugar. Insulin is going to grab that and try to get it into your cell. So I want to stop this first with people. Let's change the conversation of what you're eating so that it's not spiking your sugars, so you don't have to call on more insulin. So as far as I'm concerned, a keto diet is an excellent answer to stopping this so that literally you can stop the gaining of weight. Because when it can't get it into your cell because your cell is closed, all of that extra glucose gets turned into fat because it's a fat storing hormone, like a Pac-Man, gobble, 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 gobble. It's going to take it, turn it into fat. But also too, then when you keep your sugar spiking low like this, it forces the hand of your body. It forces it into burning fat for fuel. It pushes on that envelope. Your body wants sugar first. Gobble, 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 gobble. Whether it's a little bit or a lot, it wants sugar for fuel. But if you deny it, it has to go into your fat storage. That's why keto is very helpful for not only beginning to bring into balance insulin and sugars, but over the long term, as you tweak and as you find the, like Maria has really good macros for people who are into macros, high protein, moderate good fats, low carbs, stop counting net carbs. That's her structure. So when you do that, you're pushing that envelope of fat burning. So it's automatically anti-inflammatory. I do not know what other people would be teaching for an anti-inflammatory diet. Like I have no idea what they mean by that. But if you're insulin resistant, that anti-inflammatory diet may not be helping you at all with your sugars, your weight gain, or your inability to lose weight. I hope that makes sense. So I'm coming at it from one very specific narrow conversation and then taking it down a track and saying, okay, here's your track to run on. Let's start with the trio, the targeted supplementation. Let's add in, that's number one. Number two, trade out your food ingredients. And I'm going to teach keto and I'm going to teach not fad keto. I do not eat keto products like keto friendly this and keto friendly that. No, that doesn't get you the results that you want. And then you're frustrated because they've marketed to you and they've lied to you again. Just like they're doing about the supplements on the shelves again. Just like telling you can have 150 carbs a day as a type 2 diabetic again. The last piece is the challenge. 1, ingredient trade out. 2, challenge 3. Okay. The 16th challenge starts on Monday, September the 9th. And we can go ahead and give you a 5-day challenge. I'll go live every day, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we will talk about all of these types of things. We'll go through ingredient trade outs. I'll do a pantry and a fridge reveal. We'll talk about targeted supplements, more than even just this, and then a recipe. And then you go through the month of September, and we'll do it again in October. And what that does is that keeps you in the mode of learning, applying, and hope. Learn, apply, have hope. And do that every single month. Learn, get a couple nuggets, apply the couple nuggets, have hope, because we're going to do another challenge. And we're just going to take you one step at a time on a track. Thank you so much for the hearts. You guys are amazing. Anti-inflammatory diets have fruit and coconut and other stuff like that. Yep. Personally, as somebody who talks about insulin resistance, I do not do anything other than berries. Too sugar spiking keeps people on a hamster wheel. Terrible. My dad ate a lot of fruits that were natural sugar. I could do a whole live just on the natural sugar of fruits. That is not the same as the natural sugar of fruits 100 years ago, because we've literally hybrided, which I know isn't the word, but we've hybrided all of our fruits. So the little halo oranges that we're feeding our kids it's like candy, because we've made it sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. I know from even personal experience, because my mom worked for the Landscape Arboretum, which is the horticulture division of the University of Minnesota. And for 20 years, it takes about 20 years to get an apple to market. But they're doing this. They're creating a new breed, a new brand. It's going to be sweeter. It's going to be crunchier. It's going to be tartar. It's going to be whatever. And so the sugar content, even in our fruit, is not normal anymore. But that's another conversation. So to clarify, monk fruit won't inflame me. I can put it on Greek yogurt. Michelle, my understanding is that monk fruit is an excellent choice. That's my understanding. Monk fruit, stevia, allulose, erythritol. And if anybody has questions about erythritol, go to YouTube and punch in Maria Emmerich erythritol and watch her 11-minute video of her and her husband talking about erythritol and the faulty study that they put out on it. Okay, that's good. I want to make sure. I know I'm missing stuff I can see I'm missing stuff on Facebook and Instagram. Let's see if we're good. Let's see if we're good to go. How do you figure fiber into insulin resistance, Pam? So interesting. I feel like we have been sold a thought process. And the thought process has kept us from moving forward in general. And this is the thought process. We have to add all this extra fiber into our life. So we have to have whole grain breads. We have to take over-the-counter fiber supplements. We have to eat a lot of fruit because fruit has fiber in it. So we make all of these decisions that actually are wrecking our metabolic system. Okay. Having said that, fiber is a part of just the food God gave us, right? So fiber in and of itself is not bad. However, I do believe that people who are constipated and they believe that taking massive doses of fiber is to fix it, massive doses of fiber that are like, let's say a Metamucil or something like that, you're actually bulking up your stool, which is maybe the opposite of what we want. So I would say if somebody's constipated, let's talk about having a magnesium supplement that has citrate in it. Let's do some natural movement. I do have fiber in my gut primer that I take, but it's not the same. It's actually from extracts of fruit, but we're talking about organic, non-GMO. Okay. So we are talking about a different quality of fruit and not just eating fruit to eat fruit because we think it's so smart. I'm going to put all this fruit into a blender, blend it up so that I get a lot of volume Now we have even more sugar, but we're doing it all in the name of we need fiber. And it's just a really bad thought process. So I feel like there does need to be an understanding. This is, again, I'm not a doctor, but this is just my own research that I've done. Like we're doing ourselves a disservice. Maria Emmerich even wrote a book wrote an article called the Fiber Myth, because it's a marketing ploy. And I don't like thinking. I personally would never talk to somebody about this is how you deal with your insulin resistance. I would rather talk to somebody about, let's have a cellular conversation and an ingredient trade out conversation. That's my approach to working with insulin resistance. I hope that answers that. You take magnesium every night, no problem with constipation ever. Amen. And I wish people would hear that. I really, really do. And yep, I have to go. Actually, I have an appointment right now. So I'll wrap up with this. If people understood that there were natural answers, it would take you so much further in life. Okay? You don't have to take, anytime they're just trying to sell you over the counter or scripts, you have to ask yourself, what is the natural conversation to have with this? So if you need anything today, reach out to me. You can leave messages on my Facebook. You can get into my Messenger. Instagram, you can get into my DMs. And TikTok, you can either go over to IG because there's an IG portal, or there's a phone number you can text me and ask me anything about the trio, the turmeric, gut primer, whatever else we talked about, and I'd be more than happy to help you. And then don't forget about the group. It's called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And the next challenge starts next Monday, September 9th. So have a really good day. I got to jump into my appointment. So I'll see you later. Oh, I was going to try to do TikTok first. All right, you guys, see you later.